I'm recording this screen share on my QuickTime Player, which is available in the MacBook Pro. And I will be showing the process in which I am elaborating my script and then also the editing process on iMovie. I have elaborated my script for the Leave No One Behind mural project, and as you can see, my word count is currently at 230 words, which is pretty good. So now that I have my script written, the next step will be to record my audio. And instead of using my phone to record my audio through the Voice Note app, I will be using the iMovie recording tool. But before I do that, I will have to import some of the images that I will need for my digital narrative, because that is the only way that I'm able to record audio on iMovie. So I need to import my images first. I have selected 5 images that you will be able to see shortly. And now that they're imported, you can find them on my project media. I will begin by dragging some of the images here. I will also adjust the viewing options so I could see the images clear, so I can see the position of the images without having to scroll as much. So I'll start with the Veterans in Distress flag, and then I will bring down Andy De Leon's image, and then I will bring in Alex and Ruben, and I will have this image here with Hector as one of the last images to see. And as you can see with iMovie, there's movement already incorporated into the images, and just by browsing over the photos, I can see that the way that these are positioned works really well. But in case I do want to switch or modify any of these movements, all I would have to do, for example, is click on the image, go to your toolbar. Here you have different styles, so you could either make it fit, which will make it just a still photo, or crop to fit if I want to focus on an individual, or do the canverse, which is what is implemented throughout the story. And I will do just that. So I'm just gonna fix where I want the image to focus on towards the end. So I want to focus on Hector's face, and we'll start the movement towards the bottom and towards the end get closer to his face. Okay, and when you're done, just click on the arrow. So everything else seems good for me in regards to the movement. And in case I do want to add any transitions, I would go again to my tool settings, and I can choose from different ones. I am thinking that I'm gonna do the cross dissolve for the first part and switch it up with the cross blur for the next photos. And I would love to end it with fade to white based on the messaging that I will be sharing. And I'm thinking for the opening, I would love to do something like a page curl right, just to kind of mimic a story. And you could also implement this throughout your narrative. So for example, if I decide to change my mind, I would just start with the page curl settings. So left and then right. And all you have to do is just drop the transition into its place. Curl left. And I feel for the end, this is a good transition. So we can see it again. It opens up as a page, which again adds to that story feeling. So I'm thinking I'm ready to record. It seems that I'm at 20 seconds, as you can see here. So I will drag some of the images just a little bit to give me the space to record for at least 3 minutes. I might need less, but I just want to make sure that my audio won't get cut off while I'm recording. And I'll just keep dragging the image until I see the number go up to where I need it to. So we're at 1 minute. I will continue expanding the photos until I hit at least somewhere near the 2-minute mark. And when dragging, I try to keep these in a similar duration, so the images to be around the same length of time. but this can always vary depending on what you might be narrating. And again, if I go back to the viewing options, I can make these smaller so I can see them all in one view. Okay. So I'm at 2 minutes with 3 seconds. And by looking at my text, I think that would be okay. So I will begin recording my audio. And for that, I would just have to hit on the microphone icon here. And it's going to prompt you to record after a 3-minute timer. So I want to make sure I'm able to see my script and iMovie at the same time. So I will move my screen just a little bit. So now that I'm ready to record, I will hit the icon and hope I am able to get it in one take. So I'm gonna hit the recording button, and as you can see, I'm able to see my audio levels right next to the recording button. And this is good to see because it allows me to know that the audio is being captured. So once I'm ready to record, I will just hit the red button and I could begin. The Leave No One Behind mural project was born out of the need to organize and uplift the stories of deported veterans. Although our focus began with a vision to advocate for deported military veterans, our efforts have expanded to include migrants who have faced banishment out of the United States through deportation. It all began with the idea of sharing stories through murals created by deported artist Javier Salazar. Since the passage of the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act in 1996, the United States has supported thousands of non-citizen migrant veterans. So now that I recorded this first paragraph, I realized that I needed a pause. So I deleted the additional audio I had recorded and will begin again to record the second paragraph. I think this will allow me to also catch my breath and make sure that I'm keeping a slow pace as I'm reading. So all you have to do again is just click anywhere on the image that would follow the first audio and you hit record again. Since the passage of the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act in 1996, the United States has supported thousands of non-citizen migrant veterans. These veterans are generally childhood arrivals to the United States with legal permanent resident status who have a criminal record. Homeland Security, through programs such as Secure Communities, has actively sought to deport all permanent residents with records making them eligible for deportation, without considering other factors, including their record of patriotism and service to their country. Veterans who have been honorably discharged, even those who have defended the country in high-risk military combat, continue to be routinely deported. So again, I will stop recording, and I noticed it captured a little bit of my voice here. You can also edit after you finish your audio, but I did intentionally leave a space within my recording so I could show you in case you need to edit any of these pieces out. It's fairly simple. So let me drag out my image. So you notice there's a pretty long pause here before I began. All I would have to do is drag the audio and then position the waves so they could connect. Since the passage of the illegal, and I could still do a little bit more. Since the passage of the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act in 1996, the United States has supported thousands of non-citizen migrant veterans. So this is my pause. So I don't think I need this much. So I will right click on the audio, split clip, and then again, just a little bit before my voice comes in, I will position the mark, right click, split the clip again, and then just hit delete. And you could also do right click and do delete. And then again, drag the voice notes so they could be fairly close together. Migrant veterans. These veterans are generally childhood arrivals to the United States with legal permanent residency. So that was the only edit I felt like I wanted to do at this moment. So again, here I could cut this part out just so the new recording could come in closer. So I'll continue recording, and I am currently in my last paragraph, which it's looking pretty good. Now that I'm ready, I will begin to record my last paragraph. The stories of individuals supported that make up the Mural Project help to illustrate the extreme harshness of contemporary immigration law. Through art, our project seeks to inform audiences of the harsh and unusual punishment migrants face in the U.S. and to influence policy with the end goal of repatriating our deported and returned migrant communities. So now that I have my last audio wave, I will edit the first part out, which I know is just me sharing how I will begin recording, and drag it until I start speaking again. And this is actually the recording of the last paragraph that I have, and put it right next to the previous wave. And as you can see now, my images are actually longer than my wavelength, which is currently at 1 minute and 29 seconds. So all I would have to do again is drag the images So when this happens, all you have to do is drag the images so they could become smaller. If something like this happens, notice when I shorten Andy's image, the audio for Alex was dropped down. All I will have to do is bring it back up and we are okay. And again, we will continue shrinking the images, and this process is going to continue happening until we get the audio positioned. And then the last image here. I will also again shorten the veterans in distress flag. Continue dragging the audio. And just take a note that this is only going to be needed if you're editing the audio as you're narrating and recording. If you do this separately, for example, if you already have your audio and you recorded it in one take and you're happy with it, you won't need to do this process. But in my case, I decided to record and edit as I went, just so I can show the entire process in one take. And I noticed that I have empty noise at the beginning as well. And this allows me to have more room to drag the audio. Okay, this is perfect. Okay, I think this looks good. So now that I notice that I have a little bit more space towards the end, I could make some of the images longer as well. And we'll close with Hector's image. Perfect. So now we can listen to the audio.
The Leave No One Behind Mural Project was born out of the need to organize and uplift the stories of deported veterans. Although our focus began with a vision to advocate for deported military veterans, our efforts have expanded to include migrants who have faced banishment out of the United States through deportation. It all began with the idea of sharing stories through murals created by deported artist Javier Salazar. Since the passage of the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act in 1996, the United States has supported thousands of non-citizen migrant veterans. These veterans are generally childhood arrivals to the United States with legal permanent resident status who have a criminal record. Homeland Security, through programs such as Secure Communities, has actively sought to deport all permanent residents with records making them eligible for deportation without considering other factors, including their record of patriotism and service to the country. Veterans who have been honorably discharged, even those who have defended the country in high-risk military combat, continue to be routinely deported. The stories of individuals supported that make up the Mural Project help to illustrate the extreme harshness of contemporary immigration law. Through art, our project seeks to inform audiences of the harsh and unusual punishment migrants face in the U.S. and to influence policy with the end goal of repatriating our deported and returned migrant communities.
So now that I watched the audio with the images together, I feel like my narrative is complete. And all I would have to do is hit the right corner to share, export my file, and then I have different options of how to do this. So now all I have to do is save my project. I will name this Deported Veterans. And I added in the description, leave no one behind digital narrative. I don't need a high resolution at this moment, so I would just do 540p. And everything else should stay the same. You click next, and it's gonna save to the location you prefer. I'm gonna have it be saved on my desktop just so I could find it quickly. So now that it's exporting, you can see on my desktop the deported veterans file, and it should just be a couple of minutes or even less for our file to be ready. And just to make a note, in case you want to change any of the pre-established movements that the function for the Canverse provides, you can also do that for each image. So for example, if I wanted to edit Andy's image to focus more on his eyes or a specific part of this image, I can also do that as well. And the same thing with any of the other photos. You can also do this with videos, so that's a really nice tool to use for iMovie. It seems that our video is almost ready, and once it is, I will show you the final product. The Leave No One Behind mural project was born out of the need to organize and uplift the stories of deported veterans. Although our focus began with a vision to advocate for deported military veterans, our efforts have expanded to include migrants who have faced banishment out of the United States through deportation. It all began with the idea of sharing stories through murals created by deported artist Javier Salazar. Since the passage of the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act in 1996, the United States has supported thousands of non-citizen migrant veterans. These veterans are generally childhood arrivals to the United States with legal permanent resident status who have a criminal record. Homeland Security, through programs such as Secure Communities, has actively sought to deport all permanent residents with records making them eligible for deportation, without considering other factors, including their record of patriotism and service to their country. Veterans who have been honorably discharged, even those who have defended the country in high-risk military combat, continue to be routinely deported. The stories of individuals deported that make up the mural project help to illustrate the extreme harshness of contemporary immigration law. Through art, our project seeks to inform audiences of the harsh and unusual punishment migrants face in the U.S. and to influence policy with the end goal of repatriating our deported and returned migrant communities. So I'm pretty happy with how the final product came out, and that concludes this part of the demonstration for digital storytelling.